I change clothes like my hoes. I love designer, and I change my flows like who knows. I want the commas, many Hondas.
I honestly thought I'd seen it all as far as anime movies come, especially with the release of Black Clover, Sword of the Wizard King. That movie was really good and hard to top. However, I had neglected and looked over one important movie that actually was better than it, Jujutsu Kaisen Zero. Now, this isn't by any means a comparison video. I'm sure there's many videos like that on YouTube. I don't have time for that. However, this is just a video breaking down why the movie was so good and honestly one of the peak movies in anime right now, even though it's a year and some change old. It aired on December 24th, 2021, while Black Clover's video just came out on June 16, 2023. With this video, I really liked it so much because it augmented my enjoyment of Jujutsu Kaisen, especially the second season. It's helping me better understand what's going on as well as the plot as well, because the movie ties in so well. So let's get into the details and breakdowns of why this video is so good, and let's really analyze it. For starters, let's address the fluidity or continuity of the whole movie. It meshes very well with the season, and for someone like me, as I've stated in a lot of my other reviews of Jujutsu Kaisen, I just had a hard time really understanding what the plot was because things would move around. There would be different characters introduced and then taken away. I didn't even know, oh, was this sorcerer from the Kyoto school? Was it from the Tokyo school? But the movie kind of consolidated all that information for me into one concise data point for me to better understand. It follows the tale of Okotsu Yuta, who is basically a young child with a powerful cursed spirit following him. I like this as well because Jujutsu Kaisen is very good at expanding on characters that are not the main character. A lot of shows have very weak character development for other characters other than the main character, but Jujutsu Kaisen triumphs in expanding characters to the point where you don't even know who's the main character, or you might like a character so much more than the main character. Like for example, Satoru Gojo. He's not the main character, but he's a fan favorite for sure, and all the other characters as well. So in this sense, it's almost like Okotsu Yuta is the main character. Like we saw in the beginning of season 2, Gojo has so much depth in his character that it's almost like you forget about Yuji until he's reintroduced, and that's what I really like about Jujutsu Kaisen. And of course, you know, I gotta shout out my favorite studio, Mappa Studios, for putting their stamp on this movie. Great graphics, just great everything overall, man. Mappa Studios is really doing their thing. You don't have to get too much into the plot of the story. Just know Yuta had a lover. He had a childhood crush. She died. She turned into a curse. Later, you'll figure out why she is the curse. Why she turned into the curse. It's actually a bit of a plot twist, but I'm not here to analyze that necessarily. The best thing I can say for this movie, and some anime movies get this wrong while others get it right. For me, Mugen Train, Demon Slayer, I didn't like it because it ran like an episode, or rather was meant to be like one long episode, but I didn't enjoy that. Whereas with Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, it ran like a string of episodes that one thing just flowed into another, and it just felt like, you know, a good movie. I never wanted to stop watching, but with Demon Slayer, I just didn't have that same feeling. I know it's very anecdotal to say that, guys, but that's just how I felt. Flashbacking to the fluidity that I mentioned, it was actually, so in episode 9, there is a quote and he says that copying techniques without any conditions and a bottomless well of cursed energy is Yuta's ability. Now, I got very angry because at this point I'm like, who is Yuta? Because Gojo talks about him almost like, oh, you got beaten before and it wasn't by me. And Gojo's the strongest, and this kind of left me confused because I was like, is there something I'm missing? Was there something I didn't see where someone beat Geto? Because Geto, based on, part of the beginning of season 2, I came to believe that Geto was definitely the second strongest. Probably nowhere near Gojo because Gojo just sits on a realm of his own because, like he says, throughout heaven and earth, he alone is the honored one. But Geto's, pretty close. He's up there. And so I'm like, who is this guy that they're referring to? So I'm like, all right, he must be in the movie. So I go watch the movie and I was very pleased at what I found. But like he said, breaking down Yuta's abilities, he's able to copy other cursed users' powerful abilities. As we see, he uses the megaphone, which he steals from Inumaki clan's abilities. Well, he doesn't steal it, he copies it, which is and Geto compliments this because to do that, you'd have to have very great control over your power. And at this point in the fight, when he battles Geto, he's only been a student for about a year or a little bit under a year, so that's very impressive. He also has a bottomless well of cursed energy. Now, don't quote me on that, but that's what was said in the anime. But basically, his curse, Orimoto Riko, who was his former lover, she collects the cursed energy for him. I believe this is how he stores his cursed energy. And apparently, she's the strongest curse in the whole universe because every curse, like basically Geto believes that if he was able to harness Rika's power, he would be unstoppable, and then he could actually be the strongest. And even Gojo has alluded that like a battle or trying to defeat Rika would be hard, but he realized that he didn't have to really defeat her through brute strength. He realized that Yuta could control her himself. It leaves me with some excitement for what's going to be explained next in the next season or in the next couple of episodes, because there are some questions that we have to have answered. Who stole Geto's body? Because obviously, as we see, in the latest episode, not to spoil it, but he's not who we think he is. He apparently is someone else, just someone operating under the guise of Suguru Geto, but his body's been stolen, probably by a cursed spirit. And then I also want to look into Sugawara Michizane, because apparently he is related to Gojo, who is also related to Yuta, so they're somehow related that way. So I guess powerful Jujutsu sorcery runs in the family, runs in bloodlines, very anime cliche, but I like it. These are all things that either I forgot or I just didn't understand, so now we're starting to get a better understanding for these things. And then I think I gotta have the video coming out on this next. That would be mainly the three main clans, the three major Jujutsu clans, and what their abilities are. I'm sure the Gojo clan is one of them, and I'm pretty sure the Zenin clan is one of them as well. And I'm certain that Toji Fushiguro was also the Zenin clan as well as Maki. So they have a very interesting clan, a very interesting group of people. And as we know, Fushiguro is the father of Yuji's best friend, or the Deuteragonist of the show, meaning that Megumi Fushiguro is actually of the Zenin clan as well. So I think we need to have a video on the breakdowns of all these different clans as well. If you made it this far in the video, guys, I thank you for sticking with us, and be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe as we continue. And there's a couple more things I want to leave off with before about the movie. So the soundtrack was fire, guys. Like, it was just very good soundtrack. So that's another thing that you can't ignore and neglect, the music and all the little intricate details that go into making a movie. And also there was a scene where they always allude to the fact that Gojo could have killed Geto, but he kind of just left him as his friend to allow him to do whatever he wanted, because they were just best friends, and his friend kind of fell from grace. It was just a beautiful scene. It reminded me a lot of Naruto versus Sasuke, and I'm hoping that maybe there will be some kind of reconciliation. I'm pretty sure he's dead, but his body's still alive, so maybe they can save him in some way. And then also the character of Panda was so interesting, because apparently he's not even a human. He's like this cursed doll that is alive. He's so cool, and I think I have a versus video coming out with him and another character from a different anime universe, so stay tuned for that, guys, because it's gonna be a banger. But this was the review, guys, and this was what my thoughts on the movie as well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with a friend, and as always, find your zen, your final form. I'll see you in the next one, guys.
And I change clothes like my hoes. I love designer, and I change my flows like who knows. I want the commas, Benny Hannes.